Hola, estudiantes de Español 1. Your grammar topic today is estar with locations. We've already done the verb estar with emotions, and so you're a little bit familiar with the verb conjugations. That should be a review. The main part is how to use the verb estar when you're trying to describe where something is located and using something called a preposition. So examples and context, remember the verb estar means to be. You need to write both of these bullet points down. It is used to talk about feelings, emotions, and locations, which is what we're focusing on today. So some examples here you'll see in green and bolded the verb estar with some expressions of prepositions. So the first one is the question about where something is located, and then you have the answer, and in the answer you see the preposition and how it is used grammatically in the sentence. So 4 different examples. I want you to write at least 2 of these down. You can choose whichever 2 examples you want, but you're choosing the question and answer for each. So you can write down the top 2 question and answers, the bottom 2, the left ones, the right ones, whichever ones you prefer. I just want you to have 2 good examples of how to ask and answer about where something is located. So the first one is, ¿Dónde están las tijeras? Where are these scissors? Okay, we have the verb están because las tijeras is plural and third person. So we have están. You use the same verb when you're asking about something. So where are the scissors are. Las tijeras están dentro del escritorio. Están is your verb. Dentro del is your prepositional phrase. That's giving you the location of the actual scissors. Another example. ¿Dónde estáis, Luis y tú? Where are y'all? Okay, Luis y tú is who we're referring to. Estamos cerca del gimnasio. Notice how y'all are y'all changed to we are because now it's a second person to first person. So we are, estamos cerca del gimnasio. Cerca del is your prepositional phrase. The next example, ¿Dónde está el papel? Where is the paper? El papel está ao lado de las plumas. Ao lado de is your prepositional phrase. Está is your verb. And lastly, ¿dónde estás? Or ¿dónde estás tú? Estoy, I am, estoy en la cafetería. Verb and your preposition. So choose 2 of the question and answer combinations and write them down. All right, both of these notes are important to have in your notebook. In both Spanish and English, a preposition is placed after the verb to describe where something is located. For example, the computer is on top of the desk. So on top of is the preposition. So you need to write that sentence down, explaining how we use prepositions in a sentence, and then also write down the definition of a preposition. So a preposition is a word that links to another word or links with another word. It usually indicates the position of an item. In this case, it is definitely indicating the position of an item because we're using the preposition to tell the location of something. So we're using the verb estar with prepositions. And again, just to throw out some examples in English, you can write a few of these down if you have trouble recognizing a preposition in English. Some examples are behind, next to, above, below, on top of, side of, under, in front of, and so on. There's a ton of other prepositions like by, through, around, near, far, or far from, but these are just a few examples. How to conjugate the verb estar. This is a review. The only thing from this chart I want you to write down, since you've already written it in another lesson, is the verb conjugation. So just the bolded words in black. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, and están. If you need to write down the translations again, or you just prefer to, that's fine, but you are required to write down the verb conjugations, the 6 bolded words. Make sure the accent is on the A in the bottom before, and that you have everything spelled correctly. All right, so here are the 8 prepositions that you need to make sure you know in Spanish and how to use them with the word de afterwards. We have al lado de, next to, it literally means to the side of, cerca de, near to, detrás de, behind, debajo de, under, delante de, in front of. Remember, de means of or from. Dentro de, inside of. Encima de, on top of. And lejos de, far from. Okay, the de is required if you have a word after it. So remember, a preposition is comparing the location of two things to each other. How are they related based on location? So the de is used after most prepositions when preceding a noun. You have to have the word de. So if you're saying the computer is on top of the desk, which we'll see in Spanish, you have to have on top of, encima de, because you have a noun after it, the word desk. One note about the word de, which you need to write down, the ojo, when de comes before el to introduce a masculine singular noun, like el escritorio, any singular word that starts with el, you have to take the word de and el and you combine them to become one word. It's like a contraction to be the word del. So de plus el, when they're right next to each other, de el becomes del, one word. And we'll look at some examples. Okay, so again, the computer is on top of the desk. La computadora está because it is. Encima is your preposition. And de, encima de, on top of. What is it on top of? El escritorio. So we have the word de plus the word el, which combines to that one little contraction, del. Very important. And it only does that with the word el. As you'll see in the next two examples, you never do that with la or las or los. So this one, la computadora está encima del escritorio. You need to write it in Spanish. If you want to translate it, you can do that as well. Two more. Las mochilas. Notice how now the verb is están, because it's they are. The book bags are. Ao lado de, next to, or to the side of, las sillas. It's not masculine, it's not singular, so you leave it alone. It's just de las sillas. Las mochilas están ao lado de las sillas. The book bags are to the side of, the book bags are next to the chairs. And lastly, yo estoy. It's estoy because estoy goes with yo, I am. Dentro de, inside of, la escuela. I'm inside of the school. It's not del because la escuela is feminine. So remember, only del when the word starts with el. So they combine for del, as you see in the first sentence. So again, the last three, la computadora está encima del escritorio. Las mochilas están al lado de las sillas. And yo estoy dentro de la escuela. So two reminders. Number one, you have to make the verb match with the subject. Because we're using the verb estar. Anytime you have a subject, you conjugate the verb. You can't just say estar. So that's why the verb is changing. And then secondly, make sure you're using your preposition accurately with your word that comes after it, as far as using the word de correctly. We'll do some práctica in class, and if you have questions, let me know.